here we have question 25, y is equal to f of x. F of x is a generic way of the examiner saying this is a function of x without them having to spell out or without them having to write out the full function. For example, this here is a quadratic function without them having to write out y equals x squared plus 3x minus 7, whatever they might be. And this is right down y equals f of x. So get used to that in the examination style of question. So the graph of f of x is shown on the grid below. Here it is. Question A says, on the grid above, sketch the graph of y is equal to minus f of x. So we started off with y is equal to f of x, and now we have to draw y is equal to, it looks like exactly the same, but here we put a minus outside. That minus is like, it's the same as multiplying this function, the output of the function, by a minus 1. So whenever you've worked out the function, you have to, in a sense, what we're doing is we are reflecting the function in the x-axis. The x-axis then becomes a mirror. If the minus is now outside, we get this function here, and we flick it down using this as a mirror line. If the minus was on the inside of with the x's, then you would reflect it in the y-axis instead. So let's do what it says. Minus on the outside, use the x-axis as a mirror. So let's define the x-axis. Okay, here. So this is my mirror line. Okay, and there's my actual function. Here it is. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start to get each individual point and start bringing it down. So now remember, as we said before, if you have any point of the original image, the original touching the mirror, it stays there. So that point stays there. This point, which is 1 square above, becomes 1 square below. And this point, which is 1 square above, becomes 1 square below. Okay, now let's have a look. This point here moves down straight by 2, and it ends up roughly here. This point at 4 comes all the way down to minus 4 over here. And this point, which is slightly ahead of minus 4, which is around about here. So that point there comes to here. Same here, that point here, I'm going to bring it straight down as I'm bringing it virtually in my head. So that next point is one here, bring that straight down. It was 4 above, it will be 4 below. And the next one is the same as, so that one there, we bring it straight down and it will be around about here. So what we can do now, we can join them up. Okay, get rid of these points from here so we don't get confused. We don't go up there. Right, here we go. Bismillah. Let's see if we can get this done nicely and smoothly. There we go. That's beautiful, mashallah. Okay, apologies for any roughness in the lines. It's very difficult to draw on the board. So we now have this is y is equal to minus f of x. That's the first part done. Now we need to move the graph up to show you the second part. Here comes the second part of the question. So we've got the same function again, because the graph of y f of x is shown on the grid. Here we go. It's the same one we just used earlier. The graph of g, which is that one there, is the translation of the graph of y equals f of x. So this has now moved to there, translation, right from the equation of graph g. Now, as we studied in the previous, if you look at the previous videos that we've done on YouTube, when the graph is translated along the x-axis, it has a certain way we write it down. So normally a y is equal to f of x. That's the original function. Now if you move it to the right, okay, normally you think of the right as positive, that will have a minus number inside it. If you move the graph to the left, we've got to have a plus number inside it. Now, as you can see, the original graph from here has moved to the right. Okay, so that's going to have a minus. So we're going to say that this function here is going to be y is equal to f of x minus. Now it was at minus 2. It's moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places to the right. So the change, actually I should have done this in red actually. Let me just rub this off and put it back into red. Right. So if you look at the original function f of x, the change has been done now inside the function itself. Because it's moved to the right, we use a minus. If it was to move to the left, we'd use a plus. Okay? And that's the answer. That's the end of that question. And that question in